Hi guys, what's going on? Adam here with vlog 2. Um, so just to start, I'm gonna go through and just sort of briefly describe the second interaction I had with my friend Tejas, who actually lives in Colorado. Still, he did not move back to Dubai. Decided to stay in Colorado after he graduated. But just to move on with that, so when we were talking, he said he moved to Dubai when he was 3 years old, and it wasn't like how it is today. It looked way more like a desert back then than it does now. A lot more skyscrapers, a lot more infrastructure, a lot more architecture, with all the skyscrapers and stuff. He moved there because his dad worked for Emirates. Um, he said the heat was a big aspect that played a big role in their everyday lives, especially in the summer months. He said it gets so hot that every place cranks AC in the summer, and when him and his friends would hang out, like they would always be inside, whether it be in the malls or at one of their houses. So didn't really try to stay out of the weather a lot, which isn't really like it is in the U.S. We like to embrace all the weather that we have. Um, Dubai is also very westernized and probably one of the most liberal cities in the world, or not in the world, but in the Middle East. Um, he said he had a very humble upbringing. He went to a small private school that was about a 10-minute walk away from his home. Um, their school followed the British curriculum, which I thought was interesting to hear. So his first language was actually English, which makes sense. He's a pretty good English speaker. And then they were taught that alongside with Arabic, and then options of Hindi, French, or um, something else. I couldn't remember what he said, for your second language. Another thing that was different was he said girls and boys could only study together till year 4, after which they were separated into different classes. Um, so even though both males and females attended the same school, they still studied separately. Um, so I think that might, we were talking about this, we both sort of agreed that sort of makes sense why there's a large portion of shy guys that come from that region, just because they don't get the social interaction with the opposite gender as much as, like, say we do in the United States with public schools. Um, Another thing is during Ramadan, their school days were shorter, so that was something that students looked forward to, not only because of the religion, but also because you get to get out of school a little early every day, which is very nice. I would be just excited as he was. Um, I said student life is very different than it is when you get older. Alcohol and going to clubs aren't really big pastimes in Dubai. Um, Kids sort of stay away from it, find other things to do. A lot of spare time spent with their family and friends, um, playing sports. Very few kids drink or smoke, certainly not as openly as they do in the U.S. Seeing that more and more nowadays. Um, he said cars are, Ferraris and Bentleys are very common to find there, which is no shock to me. There's almost no direct tax in Dubai, which makes everything so cheap. I knew everything was cheap, not cheap there, but I knew people had nice things, but I didn't know why. I really didn't have an idea that they basically had no tax. So since there's no direct tax, it makes a lot of things really cheap, like watches and jewelry and cars. So if you're a gearhead, Dubai was the place for you. Um, what else? So he said overall he thought Dubai was a lovely place to grow up. Crucially, it's been a place where values are given as much importance as education, which I think is a lot different in the U.S. We more so value our education than our values. There's a wide range of values that Americans follow, and choose to go which way they want with their own kids and raising them. Um, so besides that, talked a little bit more about his culture growing up. He actually did grow up Islam. Um, he doesn't follow it he was honest with me. He said he doesn't follow it as much as most people do, especially growing up with it. He goes, ever since he moved to America and has lived in Colorado, um, he's sort of just changing his way of life and just sort of seeing what else is out there, which I think is really cool. He's not just bound to his upbringing. He's actually exploring other religions and other ways of life out there. So he's figuring it out right now, which is cool. So until then, I will see you guys on the next vlog.